I will ask a first question to Professor Mr. Gimler. Mr. Professor, you suggest in your presentation that maybe the best solution for these countries it would be to make government or not government, private procurement cases and private procurement buying of a weapon, because it make this process a little bit more flexible, more practical, just because of the possibilities to buy new, very active weapon, active tanks, and something like this. But I have some questions concerning the reality of these tasks, because in public procurement law, I think in government procurement law, in WTO process, we have Article 21, which excludes the government procurement concerning the weapon from WTO rules. It means we can buy everything, we can organize our army as we wish, and there are not any reason to enter from WTO organization or from the European community into this process. If we organize it throughout the private channels, I am not sure whether this Article 21 would be effective. So maybe we'll go in such a case that we'll have to we will have to buy on the condition of the European Union directives. And we have to buy, I don't know, something like, for example, a green deal, green order weapon. It means maybe only archery, because nothing is green enough now. So whether we can really organize it effective in such a in comparison to government procurement rules, which are open for states without any barriers, without any problems in this civil buying process.
I give you a tactical sign, okay? Please forget the procedures of procurement of EU and the national procedures, because we have the Article 346 of EU contract, EU Charta. The states are totally free in how to procure, how to get the armament for their armies.
But the states. But the states.
The states, exactly. And
but here I told that you suggest to use the private societies, private subjects to buy the army.
Now, sorry, I didn't get you rightly. So, but it is in the moment no problem that you create so-called in-house solutions. In-house solution, that is the German White Fleet, the Bundeswehr Fuhrparkservice. This company is owned by Bundesrepublik Deutschland, by Federal Republic of Germany, to 100%. So it is, of course, bound to the purchasing law and the Vergaberecht, but they are free if we are entering the weaponry, the armament. They are not free. They have to obey the purchasing law if they buy dual-use goods. For example, cars, of course. But this is not the problem. With cars, you don't win wars. Of course, with cars, they are necessary, but they are not battle decisive. So, and if you come to the armament itself, there is no problem. You are free how to do, but not with totally privatized companies, for example. Totally means they are in the property of private persons. We both found SRO, a company to provide battle tanks. This, I think, would not be possible.
Maybe we open there is a risk we open a new place for activity of European community if we privatize, for example, such purchasing system of weapon in Europe.
Yeah, why not?
Because European Court of Justice needs some such things, just is waiting for such privatization of purchasing system, just to act in this area also.
Yeah, but please, now you talk to a specialized tax lawyer.
Yeah, that's right.
I want to avoid that we for the defense, that we have to pay 20% in Hungary. It's I think 27%. In Germany, it's 19% VAT. Why? There is no use of that. This is a little mad solution of the European VAT law that armament is not free from VAT, but it is so. Okay. And if we can get, please look at my example. If we can get 18 tanks for in 1 year, of course, you're bound for 20 years. I think 18 tanks or 18 drones or 18 whatever are better than one.
And that was a part when you detailed the multipolar complex system. And in connection with this, you described 3 groups, or in reality 1 group, that was the so-called West. After that was China, that was Russia. And as to the West, of course, there were different countries, for example, United States and other United Kingdom. And besides countries, there was also the European Union. But what is the situation in connection with China and Russia? My question, whether they do not have any partnership organizations, because I think they are not only independent countries or separated. I think they also started to build a network in connection with their business. And who knows, maybe in the background of the business, they're also defense.
There is the BRICS, which is also extending, but it is still very different what we have on the West side. And I would say that, for example, NATO or the European Union are very important international organizations. For example, the NATO is the most effective collective defense organization for the West. Integration is related mainly to the West, because we are usually talking about global south. On the other hand, there is the global north or global west. So that is why these issues are also very interesting when we are talking about global order. And yes, of course, but it's much less integrated. I just remember Roger Cooper, who was talking about different kind of states. And at the beginning of 2000, he did that theory about, for example, postmodern state, pre-modern state, and modern state. And he said that, for example, in the global south, for example, in Africa, there are those states which he said that those are more related to pre-modern state, with more fragile state, with more conflicts on one hand. There are the so-called modern states like China or Russia or even India, where, for example, balance of power politics are more important. And for the postmodern states, he mentioned, for example, the West. And of course, Europe, as I said it before, European Union is not a state, but it's a good example for a postmodern entity. And that also gives strength to this region, to the West.
You mentioned that France, together with some other countries, but mainly France, was the initiator of this common defense policy back even to the 50s. And a couple of days ago, we had this maybe not declaration, but at least expression of some kind of idea to send the soldiers to Ukraine. As I heard, mostly for some training, not for fighting. But do you think that it is somehow the continuation of this idea as one of the strongest supporters of united European defense policy, let's say? And my second question is, what do you perceive as the most important reasons for the French for the French people to promote this idea? I mean, some kind of export of their national defense industry or something like this. What is your opinion?
Yes, thank you for the question. France usually has had very important ideas about the integration. I mentioned at the beginning the Pleven Plan for European Army. Actually, it failed in France because it was not ratified by the National Assembly in France in '54. After there were other ideas about the constitutional treaty, it failed in France and it failed in the Netherlands during 2 referenda. So it is very interesting because there are ideas for promotion and after it stops. That idea, yes, it is a kind of continuation of the strategic autonomy of the idea of European sovereignty as well, in order to act autonomously in a crisis situation, or which was caused by the Russian aggression in Ukraine. And on the other hand, we have to be very careful regarding those ideas because it can be also very dangerous on the other hand for European security to send European soldiers directly to Ukraine. But on the other hand, the European Union with a mission which was started in 2022 has started to train Ukrainian soldiers. So that is going on, but not we need outside Ukraine. For example, in Poland, in Germany as well. So there are very important processes, of course. Sometimes I think that these ideas are more for kind of to provoke further debate, food for thought, and something like that. But we will see. It's very difficult to say what is coming in the next, and what is realistic. Yes, thank you.
It's interesting what you said at the beginning, that the ideas of this, stronger integration, also in the terms of defense, is somehow begun by the elites, by the authorities, and stopped by the society. Let's say so. It's interesting.
I also said that societies are supporting further integration in the field of defense and further integration for CSDP as well, Common Security and Defense Policy. But it's very difficult because when we are talking about common army, that would require a kind of federation. And it's another step. Yeah. Maybe we will never arrive there. But on the other hand, I would think that Europe needs more integration in the field of defense. And as during the 90s, as during the 50s, it was the Soviet threats for like a driving force for a European army. During the 90s, it was the Yugoslavian war, a driving force, and now it is the Russian aggression in Ukraine as a driving force again for further integration. So it is an ongoing, the whole integration is an ongoing process.
I also have a question to Brigadier General Pawlikowski. How do you see our region taking part in all of these programs on innovation that have been developed at the EU level? How do you see our region taking part in military innovation overall? And maybe you can tell us a bit more about your own perspective from Poland. Thank you.
Our region, you mean the region Poland, Hungarian, and this region, yes? So that's very good questions. I think that we have at the time the opportunity just to express our experiences in this region, especially when we are bordering the Ukraine region. And of course the Belarusia, which is also, and we are not mentioned the Belarusia at this meeting, and we should mention the Belarusia, which is involved with the Lukashenko, just providing the place for the Russian soldiers. So we have the experience. Relying on my experience from the services and also from the private sector, where even foreign services like from the United States or Canada ask us just to help them, to support them during their activities on the Ukrainian territory or in Belarusia, because we understand that region, we understand that the people. So that's why we are useful, because we can hold and keep the quick contact and to solve some problems where are needed. So I think that is an opportunity for us, mainly now when the technology is emerging, so it's developing. So we have the very great experts and sciencers who are working for the military, for the private sector. And I see the huge opportunity that we should only use it for ourselves and don't waste it. Yes, something happens that we have great people and we can't use that people, so the other countries are buying that people, yes, for the West. So let's have our scientists, our experts in our home, and let's use them for our common security.
When you relate it to the ethical considerations that are irrational, that were raised during the CCW discussions on autonomous weapons and AI, I'm wondering what specific ethical concerns did you mean by saying that, and whether it's maybe the human control a requirement, and can you maybe say why is it irrational, and whether it's a follow-up question, whether this kind of concern is something specific to new technologies, or was it there always? Like ethical problems jumping into political decision on specific technologies. Thank you.
When I remember the first discussion about autonomous systems and proposal for ban for autonomous robots and so on, the first principle this community introduced was the kind of uncertainty on unreliability of the technology, which is not mature enough to target the human or opponent with a high level of certainty. It was a first argument, which was immediately actually smashed out because another guy who came with the statistics how the computer vision algorithms and technology improved since the 70s up to the level which could easily outperform the human detection or human cognitive performance in terms of a detection of a pattern and so on. Even so, there is a certain problems, and this situation is improving dramatically. It was 2013. The technology by that time was very advanced and outperformed the human in this area. So they couldn't use the argument that the technology is unreliable. So they immediately react that, okay, when the technology is okay, they immediately turn to a, let's say, theological side that it's unethical when the robot targets the human. So if the robot kills a human, there is a problem to detect what who made the fault, if the algorithm, if the operator, and so on. Another guy came with the architecture inspired by aircraft industry, where everything is well tracked and the potential investigation is easily possible in every system. So based on this argument, they still keep the same mind that it's unethical, and they search for the let's say kind of a sensitive argument that it's a human right to kill instead of the robot could be in a chain. So it's a very tricky question. So I think when the rational arguments fell down, they start to find the way how to press the emotional side of the human. And when we look at also on this question, the robots could be programmed contrary to a human easily when if the robot is not for 100% sure that it's firing on the opponent, it will destroy themselves instead of fire or instead of make a mistake. So there is much more clear proof that the robotics could be much more ethical in terms of combat. And I remember also the arguments coming from very clever people. There were the nuclear scientists and so on, but they have never ever been in combat. They were very naive how the combat is provided or what's in the battle. They think that when the soldier is shooting on something, that he is providing certain advanced reasoning, some advanced analysis and so on. Majority of combat is under the stress and it's actually routinely trained procedures, and usually the soldier actually react based on the routine they train it. So there is nothing advanced decision making. Yeah? So it's routine, and we could make this process as an advanced decision making because in terms of robotic perception, we could slow down for 1,000 pictures per second, and every picture could be analyzed, could be modeled, and so on. So this was unrational, even coming from the nuclear scientists, which are very naive, I feel, and they have never been in combat. So, I mean, if we talk about the ethical issues and other aspects, we need to be highly rational and to be able to explain it even the guys who are not from the area or the community which feel in favor because of they feel it into the ban of that. And also we need to consider the consequences. If we cancel something and it will seriously impact our defense capabilities, we are in this serious, let's say, security situation which this ban could lead that we will lose the war or next conflict because of certain rules. We set it just for fun sometimes. So we need to really, really carefully consider that. So and also we remember that these groups, I have nothing against them, but these groups usually have serious pressure or impact on the government, as I mentioned. So sometimes some kind of agreements could be done under the pressure because of everybody gather and they have just right now time and they create this resolution and this reasoning under this kind of a pressure that we should do that this is the right time. If we do not do that at that time, we will lost. And this is also the critical aspect of that. So I felt a little bit uncomfortable and that within that community because it wasn't rational, and we from a scientific background used to use the rational thinking and approaches. So this is just the reason why.
I have a question to you, Professor Kovacs, and perhaps to whom it may concern elsewhere. Did I understand you rightly that you propose a wider range of applicability of European procurement law and a smaller applicability of Article 346 you had shown? And thank you for that. Or did I misunderstand you?
Although it is customary in scholarship to propose solutions to identified issues, I think in this specific situation, what I managed to do is identify both. I mean, we know what we need to do. We have the rules in order to do it, and we have proposed that we will do such things. We are just not actually doing it. So coming up with extra solutions, I don't think there's any room for it. We know exactly what is going on. For me, was from my point of view, my intention was just to point out some of the facts